live, and we have a very special guest, so you can ask him your parenting questions directly, inshallah. Of course, we have our Facebook as well, which should appear on your screen shortly. www.facebook.com/family issues. That's right, facebook.com/family issues. Please feel free to leave your comments, post suggestions. I can check them live on the show using this iPad in front of me, inshallah. Of course, we have the email. Don't forget our email, familyissues@huda.tv. familyissues@huda.tv. So shoot me an email, inshallah. Last but not least, don't forget Skype, you guys. We put the Skype up there for you to contact us and to give us your feedback live and free of charge, so you can't beat that. The ID is Huda_TV. That's Huda_TV. You guys might be a little bit surprised to see me, but that's because our dear friend and brother Muhammad Abdul Rahim wasn't able to make it today. So I'm just filling in his shoes, inshallah. So next week he will be with us, inshallah. So don't worry, next week he'll be here live on Family Issues to answer your guys' questions. Like I said, let's get into the show now. We have a very, very special guest. He's an educational trainer. He's going to teach us how to raise our kids and educate them, engage their intelligence, and make sure they're on the right track. We're very pleased to have and honored to have him. Like I said, this gentleman has a master's from the United States at the American International College. He's an educational trainer, Mr. Ayman Shamrokh. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Ayman.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for joining us today on this program. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you for...
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, this is a very important topic for all parents or people even who do not have children yet, perhaps newlyweds. Every parent asks themselves this question from the start. How can they gauge the intelligence of their child? Are they smart enough, basically?
Actually, I know this is a concern that most parents ask this question, but I think that the question should be asked correctly. We shouldn't ask, or instead of asking how smart are our kids, we should ask how are our kids smart.
Right, and that's an excellent point, because as parents, right, so in other words, you're saying think out of the box. There's different kinds of intelligences. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, of course. This is exactly what I mean, because we should ask how our kids are smart and how they can grasp the world. How can they grasp information? How can they get them? How can they process them? And after that, how can they give a product for that?
Okay.
This is the way, because we have we usually make a mistake. We think that intelligence is one entity.
And what is that entity?
Okay, we think that if you are good logically, if you can do mathematics well, so you are intelligent.
Right.
This is what we usually think, or what we think that this is the definition of intelligence.
If I might interrupt you, Mr. Ayman, for example, we think if my child is book smart, if he does well in math, in science, in English, then he's smart. If he excels in another field, we say he's not smart. He's not a smart kid. Is that what you mean?
Yes, of course. This is exactly what I mean, because now there are theories, and they tell us that intelligence is not one entity, it's different entities. I'm going to explain that in details, how to identify the intelligences of our kids.
Well, can we start by enumerating and describing what kind of intelligences are there?
Dr. Howard Gardner, he is a cognition and education professor in Harvard. He came up with a theory in his book Frames of Mind, 1980-30. And he told us that intelligence is not one component, one entity. It's 8 entities.
Okay.
8 components.
Okay.
And he identified them, and he gave descriptions, and he told us that although each type of intelligence is working individually, but they are still working together to give us the product at the end.
So each child will have a different combination of these intelligences, we can say.
Actually, he told us that if each one of us has all the intelligences together, but there might be one of them dominant, much more dominant than the others.
Okay. Can you now enumerate, Mr. Ayman, perhaps the 8 intelligences or 8 components of intelligence that you're speaking about?
Okay. I think now we can see a picture of the 8 intelligences.
Okay,
so
inshallah, there we are.
Yeah, that's it. As we see here, the intelligences are linguistic intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, musical intelligence, visual spatial intelligence, logical mathematical intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, and naturalist intelligence.
Now, Mr. Shamrokh, if you don't mind me interrupting you, what is the, of these 8 intelligences or components of intelligence, what is the one that we say traditionally that the parents, I guess, in our culture and society today, what is the one intelligence that we think of?
Of course, the mathematical and the logical mathematical one.
Where this, because we want our child to be a doctor and an engineer, and we see this as intelligence only.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Okay, excellent point. Now, what about linguistic intelligence? We see some people are more adept to learn different languages very fast. Is this what is meant here?
Yes, of course. And by the way, in our schools usually concentrate in the giving instruction and so on, mostly on the logical, mathematical, and linguistic. Okay, so more than others.
The whole academic society, complex schools are focused on this way of learning.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah. Now we can judge if this is good or bad, but we can say that they are concentrating only on 2 intelligences. So what about the other 6 intelligences?
So first, okay, so this is interesting. So before we identify the 6 other ones, how do we identify our child? Where does our child fit in? Perhaps our child fits in the mathematical intelligence, or perhaps he fits in one of the 6 that are taught in the school. So first of all, how can we identify which one our child falls into?
Okay. At school, and even at home, at school there are 3 ways to identify the intelligences. There are inventories, questionnaires, and this is usually made or done for the elders. Okay. But there are 2 other ways. Parents themselves, they can give teachers reports about what did they notice, what are about the preferences of their kids. Okay. And also the direct observation of the kids can give us a hint about his dominant intelligence. Okay. So there are 3 methods. Okay. Questionnaires, direct observation, and parents' report.
Okay, so the parent has to keep an eye out and be very observant to their child as they grow to ensure that they are to keep an eye out so they can cater the education pattern to their child, I guess is what we're saying.
Yes, especially because research told us that intelligence, we don't keep the same intelligence, the same dominant intelligence till all our life.
So this is a bit confusing, it's a little bit difficult, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Okay, it's very complicated because what is dominant today couldn't be dominant tomorrow. Okay. It depends on a lot of factors. Okay. Our environment, the career that we are having now, our preferences, we might have changed our preferences and what we need, what we want, what we like. The brain our brain has more than 100 billion cells. So can you imagine how many new products and how many processes can happen between 100 billion cells?
Yeah, it's amazing. Imagine. So, Mr. Ayman, perhaps we have a child when the parent thinks, my child is not intelligent. Do you think perhaps it's because they have not identified his strength and what type of intelligence he has, and they begin to continue teaching him the mathematical intelligence which we have learned in our schools? I mean, is that a possibility?
Yeah, they usually say that our kid is not smart according to the concept, the traditional old concept, that the smart one is the good one at mathematics and science. Right. But now, after this theory, each one is smart. That's why I said in the very beginning, and I think we have a picture for parents. I need them to reflect on this layer. We shouldn't ask. It's the first one. We shouldn't ask how smart are our kids. We should ask how are our kids smart.
Yeah, how are they smart?
How are they smart? Right. It's better than asking how smart they are.
And here, Mr. Ayman, we have that's an excellent point.
This is the first type of intelligences. This is the linguistic intelligence. And the linguistic intelligence, usually, we cannot sit in our kids when they are or students who like to speak, students who like to talk, students who can express themselves clearly. They have much more vocabularies than their peers.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily mean they speak more than one language, but they're fluent in the language they speak. Yes, they like to read, they like to write, communication skills.
Yes, and also they enjoy reading, as you said. They like telling stories. they spell easily,
Okay.
and they have good memory of
Okay.
names, dates, and
Right.
the things that they can see. And by the way, they can, when they grow up, if you grow up and you have that type of intelligence, you could be a good politician,
Right.
a good sheikh, a good interviewer,
Lawyers,
lawyers,
professors,
yes,
journalists.
yes, all
Yeah.
these jobs, they
Author.
are very skillful in them because they are doing what they like,
Right.
and what they, according to the intelligence that they have.
That's the key, isn't it? To find something that, according to our intelligence, to find work and to find an education pattern according to our intelligence. So that's interesting with the linguistic intelligence. What about another intelligence we could speak about?
The second intelligence could be the logical mathematical intelligence.
Okay.
We are familiar with that because the IQ tests and so on, they are designed according to this type of intelligence. Students who have this dominant type, logical mathematical intelligence, they are usually good at math.
Right.
They can work well with, they can find patterns,
Right.
they can find relations, they know the cause, the reason,
Right.
they can justify things and find patterns and relations very easily.
Right.
Yes.
When the word smart comes to mind, because the culture has made it this way, we think of these people. They become engineers,
Yeah.
electrical engineers,
Scientists.
scientists. Yeah, sure.
Especially because they are sequential.
Yes.
Yes, and
Good
they
point.
yes, and also they understand, as I told you, patterns better than others.
Right.
So they could be managers.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mathematicians, scientists, this type of things. Right.
Yeah, and they also, when they like to play computer games, they like the strategic play games and so on. They
Right.
are very skillful in them.
In this case. Okay.
Yeah, and also they usually like computer.
Computer stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
computer
Okay.
stuff and so on. Yeah.
That works well with their brain. So this is mathematical intelligence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The third type, our kid could have an intelligence or a musical intelligence.
Okay.
Musical intelligence,
Okay.
yeah, it involves the skills in performance, composition,
Oh, okay.
finding relations between the tune and the word,
Okay.
like poets and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
Reciters of the Quran.
Yes,
Because I knew a
reciting
man
the Quran.
Yes, I knew a man who was a musician, a very famous musician. He became Muslim, and he said, I use the same skills that Allah gave me in tajweed of the Quran.
Yes.
So he was like a musical intelligence person.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
People who are very good or very skillful at tajweed al-Quran, they have musical intelligence.
Right.
Sheikh Abdul Basit Samad, Sheikh Mashari Rashid, they have that because they keep the tune, they don't break it.
Right, right.
And by the way, it doesn't mean only that you can compose or write music or whatever. It also, if you have the feeling,
Right.
and you feel, do you know people who usually when they hear Quran, when they read Quran, they do like that.
Yeah, they have this type of
Yeah,
thinking.
they keep the rhythm. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They feel it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
fall into this intelligence. Okay.
Yes,
yeah,
they have this intelligence.
Very good, interesting.
Yeah, okay. So they can work as Quran reciters.
Right, right.
They could be singers, composers, poets.
Yeah,
yeah.
poets, for example, they could be poets, Quran reciters. Very
Yes,
good. Yeah,
yes. And
excellent.
at school, or even at home, parents could work on that. They could give the material or present the material in rhymes.
Right.
Yes, if there is something
Good point.
difficult, we can present it in rhymes to our
Right,
kids.
yeah.
If our kid has this type of intelligence as a dominant one.
Yeah,
And
excellent
even at
point.
schools.
Right, excellent
Yes.
point. Yeah, we're catering to their strengths. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I've heard people say also teaching like through poetry, like you said, rhymes and things like that, to cement the concepts in the mind of the children. So that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
So what
Sure.
else do we have, Mr. Ayman?
Yeah, sure. So this is the point to Mr. Malik, that we could work, it's better to work on the strength of our students, better than looking for the failures or the
Yeah.
weakness points.
Which is what we do now, isn't it?
Actually,
Yeah.
what we are looking for now is what are the weaknesses so we can try to improve them. We
Right.
neglect the strength points.
Yeah.
But if let's try to shift this attention. Let's pay attention more for their strength points and present the material and give them the chance to grasp the world through the way or the strength point that they have.
Right, yeah, excellent point. I agree with you.
If
Yeah.
we shift this point or change this,
Right.
I think a lot of things will be changed.
And
Even our grasp, our looking towards our kids, our perception of them,
Everything.
and we can even, if we know the intelligences, by the way, as parents, because I think and I believe that we as parents and teachers, educators, we should know our preferable and our dominant intelligence. Of
course.
Of course, we should know that firstly.
Yeah.
Because as a parent or as a teacher, my teaching style
Of course.
is affected by my my intelligence,
Yeah.
my dominant intelligence.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Of course. And societies will benefit from this as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And for sure, when I produce or instruct something, I produce it or instruct it according to my preferable and my dominant intelligence.
Right, of course.
So students who have the same intelligence, yeah, it will be great with them. But what about the others?
Of course.
That's why, in another point in our meeting today, we can talk about differentiation.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent point. It's a confidence booster, too, for many people who perhaps felt like they weren't intelligent throughout their life, because especially in the Middle East and the Far East, I believe, they really hammer home this mathematical intelligence, and if you don't meet the standard, it's like you're dumb. But that's
Yeah.
not the case according to the information that we have today, so that's
Of course.
very, very helpful. What is the fourth type of intelligence, Mr. Ayman?
Bodily kinesthetic intelligence.
What does that mean? It's a big word.
Yeah, it's a big word actually. It entails potentials of using one's whole body. People who can learn by doing things, the haptic people.
right.
They learn if they are involved by their hands or body.
Physically.
Yeah, physically.
Physical movements.
Yes, that's why a teacher can help help them to learn by giving them the chance to play part in or take part in play rolling, in a situation in classroom.
Oh, right, right.
Yes,
right.
if they, and also he has to give them the chance to move
Right.
because they can't keep standing a lot.
Right. They have to participate in the
They
activity.
have to participate, and if they are engaged or involved bodily, they learn better.
And this is a bit challenging for parents and teachers, isn't it?
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
because teachers usually don't like students who like to move a lot and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you accommodate a classroom full of students? That would be difficult. But perhaps, what about parents at home? How can they teach? What techniques can we give parents at home who have children with this type of intelligence?
I think at home we can give them the chance to build models, make patterns, and so on. This is a very great technique, and I'm going to show you at the end of inshallah of our program
Inshallah.
an experiment that I have done with my students.
Oh, great.
I gave them the chance to build a model of thing, and I was astonished when I see how great they were.
Well, inshallah, I look forward to seeing
Really.
that, inshallah.
So you can give them the chance to do. And by the way, this intelligence, about this intelligence, sometimes, especially for younger kids,
Mhm.
when we buy them a new toy, they break it within 2 or 3 days.
Right, right, right.
Usually. And we get angry and shout at them, why did you break it, and so on. He didn't break it because he's bad or whatever.
Right.
Because he wants to know what's inside it.
Right.
He wants to work by his hand on it.
He's learning.
He's learning
Yeah.
how does it make the sound, how does it make this movement. So he's learning. He's not breaking, he's
Right.
learning.
Excellent point, Mr. Simon. If I could just interrupt you briefly, what about, say, a young child? Okay, say we have a couple who just married and they have a child, maybe 2 years old. What do they look for with that 2-year-old child? How do they? Everybody wants their child to be so smart, and they love their children. What type of toys should they bring him? What type of activities should they do to stimulate his brain and to see what kind of intelligence he has?
Okay. Research told us that most students or most kids before school time, before 6 years, they are bodily kinesthetic. The dominant intelligence
Is the body
bodily kinesthetic. Yes.
Okay.
That's why we have to give them the chance to move, to
Right,
run.
Right.
Yes, to practice sport.
Okay.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
Activities.
Yeah, activities.
Blocks.
Playing with jigsaws
Okay, that stuff.
and blocks and so on. Yes.
Okay, that develops his
Levers
hand-eye
and so on.
coordination, his, okay, that sort of thing.
That builds his character and his way of learning.
Okay, of course.
Yeah.
And as, of course, the child grows, the parent has to continue to read and learn because there's so many challenges to educating our children. But we can do a lot of programs on that. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, of course. Of
But,
course.
Mr. Ayman, what about the fifth element or type of intelligence?
The next one is the visual spatial.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
The visual spatial intelligence, it's the people who like to see, to watch.
Visual spatial.
Visual spatial, yes. They like to grasp the world and understand information and gain information by watching.
Okay.
That's why we should provide videos for this type, or if my kid or my student has this type of intelligence as dominant one, I should provide him usually with photos, videos,
Right.
films, charts,
Yes.
diagrams.
Yes.
Okay, because they understand this better than others.
Yeah, okay. He needs to see things.
Yes,
Yeah,
and even
okay.
when he wants to express his ideas also, he expresses them visually. If you ask him, do you prefer to write a piece of composition about any topic or draw it? He usually prefers drawing.
Drawing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he is also sensitive to colors, patterns,
Right.
and visual things.
What type of people that have this type of intelligence, what type of careers and professions do they fall into?
They could be a director.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
because
Of course.
you know, yeah, a director, he sees when he reads the scripts,
Right.
he imagines everything, every step in the film or the movie before he let
Right.
actors do it. That's
Right.
why even he gave instructions to actors.
Yeah.
He told them, you put your hand like that or say it like that, because he had a previous image of what should be done. He has
Yeah.
it visually.
Mashallah, that's a very interesting
yeah,
point.
and when our kids grow up more for about 9 or 10 years, usually the second dominant intelligence of our kids after the kinesthetic is visual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
That's why we should provide them with the visual materials. It's
Okay.
very important
Okay.
at schools and even at home.
Okay, excellent point.
And we can give them also the chance to use highlighters when they need to learn something new. They need highlighters. And by
right.
the way, when they want to rehearse Quran and keep it by heart,
Right.
they should learn Quran from one mushaf.
Why is that? I've heard people say that. Why is that?
Now, scientists told us why. Because they told us that when you learn Quran from a mushaf, you keep an image about what you read.
Visual spatial learning.
Visual spatial, yes. You keep an image of what. So when you recite it, you remember the words visually.
Yes, right, right.
That's why you should read and learn Quran from one mushaf.
Right,
If you
excellent.
learn from two different ones, you will have two different images and there will be a conflict.
Right. Right, yeah. We
Yeah.
have to take a short break. I want to get back to that point. It's a very interesting point.
Yeah.
You stay with us, you guys at home. Don't go anywhere. Don't forget to give us a call. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Never alone. You are never alone.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have two questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father passed away and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can we give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah or the act of worship is a part of the unity of worship. It has to be paid to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in accordance with the guidance of his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Family Issues. You guys, we're having a really interesting conversation. I'm really expecting you guys to call in, especially you parents, because we have an educational trainer here. We have the phone number on the screen, 0020-238-555-248 or 249. All you parents who have questions and concerns, which I'm sure you do, I know I do, about how to raise your child, how to make them, how to understand what kind of intelligence he has, and how to grow him up and raise him, I should say, in the best possible way and give him the best possible chance in life to succeed. Well, this is your program to call into. We're joined by Mr. Ayman. Thank you so much. I'm really having a wonderful time. Mr. Ayman, you said before the break about an interesting comment about visual spatial learners, and which made me think about myself. You know, I have a lot of copies of the Quran at home, but I'm not very strong in memorizing. And someone said to me recently, buy one Musaf and read from it. And you explain why. Go ahead. Perhaps you can recap for the viewers who weren't watching.
Yeah, I told you that it's better to read from one Mus'haf.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ayman, I have to interrupt you because we have a phone call from a viewer, Saeed from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Thank you so much for calling.
Wa alaikum salam.
Go right ahead, sister.
I have a question about my son. He's 2.5 years as of now, but he's not really well at speaking.
He's not doing well speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to know why and how we can help improve him into speaking, inshallah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent question. I actually have a friend back home who their child is about 4 years old, and they're a bit scared. The child is slow in speaking. We see with some children, some are a bit slower, and then they catch right away.
Yeah.
And, you know, so can we explain this? How can we answer the sister's question?
I think that because speaking it's a productive skill, okay, it's very complex. Don't think that speaking is easy, because you need to build a lot of sets before that. You need to collect vocabulary.
Right.
You need to collect sets of grammar, how to use these vocabulary.
Right.
You need a lot of things, a lot of skills before speaking and giving an understandable sentence.
Right.
So that's why we shouldn't be afraid or worried a lot when our kids don't speak and at younger times. But I think after 3 years, I think we should see a doctor about that or a specialist.
Right.
Yeah, about that after 3 years.
So be patient before that.
Yeah, just be patient and give them their time, the chance to build up their vocabulary.
Right.
Just like, because you know, language is just like a wall.
Right.
The bricks are the vocabulary, and the cement is the grammar.
Yeah.
And as long as they have, the more vocabulary they have and the more grammar they develop and understand from us, the higher their wall of language gets up.
That's
so
a nice
we should
analogy.
give them time.
Yeah. That's a nice analogy. But however, how can we stimulate our child perhaps? How can we encourage him to speak? Is there a method for that?
Yes, we can let them imitate, repeat after us.
Right, stuff like that.
Yeah, and let them also listen, because when they listen, they build patterns in their minds.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
excellent, okay. Let's go back to our comment before the sister called in about why memorizing from one Musaf. Why?
Because, as I told you, when we remember something, or when the brain stores something, especially for the visual spatial intelligence people, or people who have that dominant kind of intelligence, they usually store information, or their brain usually stores information in a visual image.
Right.
That's why when you recite Quran, when you close your eyes like that, you remember where is the verse, where is the ayah.
On the page,
and the page, is it at the top of the page, or at the bottom of the page, on the right page, or the left page, and what is the next word, and so on. So you remember words visually.
Yeah. What is that expression? Excellent point. What is that expression people say? He has a photogenic memory.
Photographic memory.
Yes, people always say that.
Yeah.
And that means he has a really strong memory.
Yeah. People who have photographic memory, they have this kind or this type of intelligence.
Very strong.
They remember, yes, they remember everything visually, and when they see, they remember faces. But sometimes people who have that, or kids who have that type of dominant intelligence, sometimes they might have a trouble, because they remember, or people, even adults, they remember faces, but sometimes they have a problem with names.
Oh,
until they see a name written.
Yeah. So until they see it written, because they're not audio learners, right? They're visual learners. Excellent point. Having said that, you said a lot of people fall into this category. Do you think schools here in the Middle East, in America, and around the world, are they catering towards these students?
Unfortunately, this doesn't happen.
That's not very encouraging.
Unfortunately, yes, because as I told you that research told us that about learning styles. Learning styles is different from MI theory or multiple intelligence theory that I'm explaining now. Learning multiple intelligence is something wider, but learning styles are concerned of how our kids grasp and gain information. They in three ways. There are many theories, by the way. Many theories have told us either kinesthetically or visually or auditory. And research told us that visual students are more than between 55-65% of our learners. They are visual. So
very big,
about 65% are visual, and our system and our aids are not designed for this 65%. This is a problem, a serious problem. So parents at home, this is the turn of or the role of our parents. They can make it up at home
by doing.
If your kid come and tell you that we studied about something called a volcano, but I don't understand how, or I can't shape a picture in my mind, or I can't know what does it look like. Just give him the chance to log on the internet,
or make
find a video, find a video or a picture. Because for those people, a picture worth 1,000 words.
That's why they say it. That's an excellent point.
Yes.
So it's important to, as a parent, to identify the type of intelligence your child has, and then to act on that knowledge and teach them using those methods.
Of course. Yes, of course. That's why parents should know and should learn about multiple intelligences and the ways of learning styles and all these things, so they can make it up. They make the shortage that happened at schools. They can make it up at home, even when they study with their kids. So they know their kids better than anyone else.
It's not enough to leave your kids at the school. We have to compensate for what the school missed by teaching them at home. Excellent point. Really quickly, what about audio learners? Because I know in the Middle East, especially with the culture of memorizing Quran from somebody, people. Someone will recite it, and they always teach it to kids, right? They recite it, and then the child will recite it back.
Yes.
So this is an audio way.
Yeah, this is audio way, but also we should revise this way again, because the sheikh who asks all students to repeat after him and rehearse after. How does he know that all of them are auditory so they can interact with him? Some of them they might be visual, some of them they are kinesthetic, and they need other ways.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We have to find innovative approaches, creative ways to teach the kids.
Yes, of course. We have to differentiate and find out very ways. We have to verify that.
And you can combine teaching methods with multiple ways, right? For example, you can combine between audio and visual. I mean,
of course,
you want to combine, right?
The more you integrate between, we call that the multi-sensory approach. Yeah.
You catch more.
The more you integrate between kinesthetic, auditory, and visual, the more the kids learn.
Yes.
Because each one of us has the three. Again, we have the three, but one of them is dominant again.
Okay. Right. Excellent point. Okay, we talked about visual space. Is there any more points with the visual spatial?
Just help them to, as I told you, to study from one source, or two sources at least.
At the most.
And also they can use highlighters. Highlighters are highlighter pens, phosphoric pens. They are very beneficial for those people.
Really? Why?
Because they can highlight the keywords that they are learning at home.
And they put it into their mind.
And also they can write on the emergency or draft here, just write the points or keywords for what they are reading. So when they see the keyword, and just remember what the whole paragraph was about.
Yes. Okay, excellent point. Okay. So what do we have, an eighth and final type of intelligence?
The interpersonal intelligence.
Okay, what does this mean?
Interpersonal intelligence, people who have that type or as a dominant one, they usually like to be with people. They are called the people smart.
Right. They like to be amongst groups of people. They're very popular, they have friends, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and they have the capacity to understand the intentions, the motivations, and the desires of people.
Okay.
So they can interact with them very effectively.
Right. When they say, some people say, I can read you like a book. Have you heard that expression? It means I understood you, I understand your body language, your tone of voice, this type of thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. They are clever in catching that in others.
Yeah.
So they can, when they interact with you, they do that with in a good way, because they understand what do you expect from them.
Right. So these people have strong relationships and friendships, perhaps.
Yes, and also they like to work in groups, teamwork. They are very clever in teamwork and so on.
Well, that's excellent. What type of fields and professions do you think these people fall into? Is there any specific thing? Or
educators.
Oh, right, of course.
Yes. Salespersons.
Oh, right.
You know,
right.
sales and marketing, you don't want to buy this, but after just only 5 minutes of sitting with him, you tell him, I need to. Yeah.
Yeah, so because this person understands people and can speak with
Yeah,
them in a
especially
way.
if he has a linguistic intelligence.
Oh, there you
Beside
go.
interpersonal, oh, it will be a wonderful combination. So he will
Yeah.
convince you to buy anything, to buy
Yeah.
air. Yeah.
That's
Also
fun.
religious people also, because they need to have good relations with people. They need to understand people. The sheikh,
Yeah,
okay,
great point.
he should understand his audience and see their motivations, and also he can see
How to speak to them.
how do they respond. Yes, so he
Yeah.
can modify if he feels that they got
Yes.
bored, he can change. He can
Yeah, he has to use multiple approaches according to the target.
yes.
So he has to read the target, read the
Yeah.
audience.
So people
Yeah.
who have that kind of intelligence,
Right.
they are good sheikhs.
Yeah,
Okay?
excellent point.
And
okay.
also they can work as political leaders, because
Right.
political leaders should they become or they are successful
Right.
when they understand what do people need to learn, to know, to hear.
Yeah.
He just say what people need
Want
to hear.
Yeah, because he wants to make he in order to make himself appealing.
Yes,
he
of
wants to know
course,
what.
of
Yeah,
course, of
excellent point.
course.
Yeah, excellent point. Well, having said that, I mean, this theory is this a very is this there's many theories in this field,
Of course.
but this theory is one perhaps that you respect highly more than others.
Yeah, because I think this one, of course, there are a lot of questions about it, but I think this one is the most integrated one, because as I told you before, the learning styles and theories, they only concentrate on how does the kid grasp or get information.
Right. Okay.
But this theory, and Howard Gardner and his team, he develops and he went beyond that. He told
Right.
us how kids grasp and get the information, and how does he process it in his mind and file it.
Right.
Okay, and then how does he produce a new product
Right.
related to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
this is the integration, and this is the why do I feel that this is better than and integrated much more than other theories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say perhaps we have a viewer at home who has a young child, a boy or a girl. We didn't speak about the differences in genders, by the way.
Yeah.
That's an interesting topic, isn't it? The differences in learning between genders.
Yeah.
I mean, so we approach our sons and daughters differently? I mean, this is a whole different topic, isn't it?
I haven't read scientific researches about that, but I read once that girls usually tend to be auditory, and they like to hear and so on.
Oh, okay.
And talk. But boys, they like to work. They are much more kinesthetic than girls.
Right,
Yeah. And I think this is logic.
Yeah.
It's very logical,
Natural.
because the physics of boys is different from
Yeah,
girls.
it's the creation of Allah.
Yeah, and it also can explain to us why do girls and women spend a lot of time talking on the phone. Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So excellent point. So leaving that part aside now, say we have a viewer at home who has a small child. Can we give them sort of like a roadmap what to do when starting with 2 years old, 3 years old? How does it change? What should they do? What should they look out for? Give them some helpful tips and pointers about how to identify the intelligence and then cater to that intelligence.
I think that kids are born with a type of intelligence that is dominant, but according to the environment and according to the conditions and everything surrounding him, the way that we raise him, that intelligence could decline, and someone else could get
Right.
dominant.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can, to know them even in younger ages, and to know what is the dominant one,
Right.
we can expose them to many experiences. We can give him the chance to learn how to recite Quran, so see if he has the musical. We
Right.
can also give him the chance to play a sport or practice or do a sport,
Right.
yeah, or play a game or whatever,
Right.
or give him the chance also to play the jigsaws and so on,
Right.
to see if he has that kinesthetic, kinesthetic intelligence.
Right.
And also we can give him the chance to be with amongst other kids to see how does he act
Right.
amongst, yes,
Yeah.
because especially the leaders, the students who are the kids who are classified as leaders,
Yeah.
we can notice them from the very beginning.
SubhanAllah, how?
In nursery we can see them that they are even control other kids. Yeah. Yes.
So we want to really, that's an excellent point, So we want to essentially test our children.
Yeah. Just expose them to many experiences.
Right.
So we can see which one is very appealing to them.
Right, okay. And if we have a dominant one, we shouldn't only teach the dominant theory as well, because there is 2 or 3 different Each child will have multiple learning ways. So even if we identify our children, for example, as a visual spatial learner,
Yeah.
we don't want to only teach them in the visual.
No, of course
You
not.
have to teach
Of
them.
course not. Of course not.
Right.
Because even if he is visual, but he is also auditory to some extent,
Yeah.
or musical. He has musical intelligence to some extent. He has kinesthetic to some
Right.
other extent. So as I told you before, the more integration happens in the way and the chances that we give to our students and our kids to learn, the better is.
Yeah, of course. Excellent point. Do you think schools will come around and change? I mean, especially here in the Middle East, I think in Asian cultures as well. I think they're really heavy on, we said, on mathematical intelligence. I know in the United States, I believe people are opening their mind to these new theories and identifying and recognizing that each child is different and has different needs and intelligences. But do you think that will change here in the culture here in the Middle East? It's very strong on pass this exam, we're going to teach you to the test, pass the exam. If you don't, you fail. Do you know what I mean? Textbook smart.
I think this is a wound in the heart, because
Right.
here in our Arab world and in Egypt, we don't care much a lot about for these skills, because our main concern of the whole educational process is testing.
Testing.
And yeah, testing. The exam is the aim of everyone. We study for the exam.
Yes.
And for the certificate by the end.
Yes.
So the product and the aim is different.
Right.
If we should work more to make the student himself or the human as an aim, aim and a goal. If we put him as an aim and a goal, we are going to plan everything to get that product.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, the product of the whole educational process is the human being,
Right.
not the certificate, not the exams.
Yeah.
What if my kid got 99% in Sanawiyah Amma out of 100, but he doesn't have the skills to write, he doesn't have the skills to read, or he doesn't have the skills to live even,
Yeah.
the interpersonal skills, the social skills and so on.
That's an excellent
So
point.
yeah, that's why, by the way, in the USA now they have MI schools,
What is
multiple
that?
intelligence schools.
Oh, tell us about that.
A whole school that is built and that's built according to this theory,
Okay.
and it is operating according to this theory.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely have to look at new directions. But that's an amazing point. What you said about the result, the point of education is the human being itself
Yes.
to develop the person, because now the point is the test.
The test and the
Yeah.
certificate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we have this kind of mass education. The teacher gives instruction, and the ones who understand, it's okay. The ones who don't understand, he can try with them again. But if they don't understand, it's okay. It's their fault.
Right.
Not my fault.
Right. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is
But they work on the individuals.
right. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the USA educational system as the best one.
Right,
But I'm
sure.
talking in general the system that should be.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
To work on the human or the individual.
Right.
To see what are his strengths and the good things that he can do,
Right.
and I can build on that.
Right. And it sounds like it can be simply identified. When you have a student with you, you give him expose him to certain things, give him certain tests, like you said. It's not a really, I mean, it can be done. It's not a difficult thing, yeah.
It's not difficult,
Yeah.
especially
subhanAllah.
at schools. If we train teachers well how to identify and how to do that and how to test their kids' intelligences and learning styles,
Okay, excellent
and
point.
they will be able to, and also train them how to plan their lessons
Right.
according to that. They will do the differentiation.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, differentiation now is a term that it's widespread now, and it gives the educational system that is built on differentiation. It gives a good product at the
Okay,
end.
right.
Differentiation, because you have different types of learners, so you must verify and differentiate your instruction.
Right, of course. And the teacher will become more successful because they'll see result in their students.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
It's
so-
so simple. It's so simple, by the way. If we shift this point, I think that a lot of things will change, because imagine the teacher as a broadcasting tower, okay, and he broadcasts on frequencies of
Right.
100.6. 100. He just only broadcasts on one frequency, 100.6. But he has learners there. They have one of them is 88.3, 100.6,
Good analogy.
200 so on. So if the teacher, so instead of letting the young students try to modify their way of reception to the teacher It's too hard for them. They are still young.
Yeah.
So the teacher must modify
Yeah.
his instruction
Yeah.
to reach each one of them,
Yeah.
to reach the 100.6, the
Yeah.
88.3, and every one of them.
That's
No
a-
one is left back.
That's a really nice analogy. The teacher has to send out a signal that reaches all the recipients.
Yes.
Because the kids don't know, they're too young. As far as, yeah, that's an excellent point. Ms. Sharma, we're approaching the end of the show. Is there any major points or any information that you would like to share with the viewers and the parents at home?
I think that they have to give their kids the chance to learn by their preference, according to their preference.
Okay.
We shouldn't force them to learn by this way because I mean your parent, okay, the kid, because I'm your father and I have learned by this way and it works.
Yeah, right.
Yes, so
Right.
we shouldn't force them to learn by the same way that we have. Even Al-Imam Ali, radiallahu anhu, he said that hundreds of years ago.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
so astonished when I read this statement for the first time. He said it in Arabic, I can translate it into English. Don't force your kids to learn in the same way that you have learned with, or that you learned with, because they were born for a time or for a different time.
Yeah, subhanAllah. That's wisdom, isn't it? Yeah.
فإنهم خلقوا لزمان غير زمانكم. They were born for a different time
Than
that
you.
is not your time.
Yeah.
Now
SubhanAllah.
the kid who is now who is 6 years old, he has the knowledge and the strategies of speaking and the way of life that when we were 12 years old.
Right, right. It's outdated. We have to get with the
Due
times.
to the satellites, communications, internet,
Right.
television, and all of that. So we parents should match that.
Yeah, of course. Excellent point. Mr. Ayman, we have a show, inshallah, launching in, we're going to launch it this Saturday, but inshallah, we will launch it in January, inshallah. It's called The Ummah Tonight, and inshallah, I will be the host of the show, and we want to address problems and issues relevant to Muslims all around the world. So I'd like to have you as a guest on that show in order to talk about the problem of education throughout the Muslim world, and your specialty here in the Middle East especially. So
It gives me pleasure, of course. I'm trying to spread this idea to shift our education from, to shift the aims of our education from certificate and testing to the human being.
yeah, this is a great challenge. Thank you for your time. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you,
And
sir.
excellent. You guys at home, thank you for watching Family Issues. Don't worry, Mr. Muhammad Abdul Rahim will be back next week. Thank you guys for joining me. I certainly enjoyed this opportunity to be with you tonight on Family Issues. So I'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You are never alone, through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace. You are never alone. So now, as you long for your past, prepare for your future, but knowing nothing's gonna last. You see, this life is but a road, a straight and narrow path to our final abode. So travel well, O Muslim, and paradise will be your home.